Morning. So last lesson we looked at the cosine rule, finding the missing side. Today we're going to look at the cosine rule, find the missing angle. So as per usual, headings, lesson objective, keywords and the dates in Welsh. Off you go. Hit pause. When you're ready to move on, hit play again. Okay, so we move on to a starter for today. Okay, so there's your starter. Hit pause. Have a go. When you're ready to move on, hit play again. Right then, let's go through the solutions. Question 1, 3955 times 0.48 divided by the square root of 95. Estimate the value. So if we look to one significant figure, 3955 to one significant figure, that's going to be 4,000 times 0.48 to one significant figure, 8 affects that, so it'll be 0.5. Okay, the temptation is either to go to 0 or 1, don't do that. Then the square root of 95, if I round that to one significant figure, it's going to give me 100, so square root of 100. Now, half of 4,000 is 2,000, divided by the square root of 100, which is 10. 2,000 divided by 10, the 1 0 cancels, so the answer is 200. Question number 2, find the volume of this shape. Okay, it's triangular based prism. It's the same shape all the way through. So to find the area of this shape, you find the area of the front face and then you multiply it by the length. Front face is a triangle. Area of a triangle is equal to base times height over 2. So that's going to be 7 times 9 over 2, which is equal to 63 over 2 centimeters squared. Temptation is to try and put this as a decimal, but there's no need, because now we haven't finished yet. To find the volume, we do the area times the length, and that's going to be, where can I write that? I write it here. So V is equal to 63 over 2 times 10. Okay, 2 goes into itself one time, 2 goes into 10 5 times, and 63 times 5. If I work that out on the calculator, that's going to give me 315. So that's equal to 315. And that's centimeters cubed. This final one, well, let's work through it. You got cost C in pence, so be careful, is equal to U times 10.5, or I put the number first, 10.5 U plus D times 20, or 20D, and then we multiply all of that by 2. So if we put the numbers that we've got in, total charge is £10 and the total time is 4 days. So the charge is £10, but in pence, multiply 10 by 100, get 1,000, is equal to 10.5 U, which we don't know, we're trying to find U, plus 20 times D, which is 4 days, times 2. Now the 2, I can take straight underneath that. Oops. So that's going to give me 1,000 over 2, which is 500. Oops, 500 is equal to 10.5 U plus 80. Now I can take that 80 over the other side. If it's 80 on this side plus 80 on this side, it's going to be take away. So I got 500 minus 80 is equal to 10.5. And so that's going to be 420 equals 10.5 U. Now, to get the U on its own, I I take my 10.5 underneath the 420, so I've got 420 divided by 10.5 is equal to u. The temptation now is to reach for the calculator, but we like fractions as mathematicians. We prefer fractions instead of decimals. So we can say 420 is divided by 10 and a half. Now 10 and a half is equal to u. 10 and a half, I can rewrite that. 10 times 2, 20 plus 1 is 21 over 2. So that's 420 divided by 21 over 2. Let's put u equals. And that's going to be equal to, I can write 420 times, so changing the division into a multiplication, times 2 divided by 21. Now 21 goes into itself one time, and 21 goes into 420 20 times. 20 times 2 equals 40. So our answer is 40 units. Oops. So there's that temptation always to reach for the calculator, but it's not always necessary. Okay, so what I want you to do is, if you got them all correct and you've got your method correct, fine. If not, write the corrections in green. Sorry, if they were fine, tick in green. If not, if you've got anything wrong, write the corrections in full in green, because it helps your memory, okay? And if you want to practice using a fraction instead of decimal, it would pay you to write that out again, okay? So hit pause, mark it when you're ready, hit play again, and we'll move on. Okay, so last time we looked at the cosine rule, and it can be used in two ways. Last time we used it to find the missing side when we knew two sides and the angle that was in between them. Today we're going to use it to find the missing angle when we're given all three sides. And as our formula, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. As I said, I stick with this formula. You can rewrite it in terms of side B or side C, but I don't think that's necessary. So as long as we remember this formula, we're better off if we actually move the triangle around. So if we move the angles around, so if we call them A and B and C somewhere else, and we can rearrange this formula so that we can find the angle. So that's our a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. I can rearrange that to find cos a. So given that, I can take my minus 2bc cos a, so I can take all of that over to the other side, and at the same time I can take my a squared and bring it over this side. So I end up with 2bc cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared. To get the cos a on its own, I take this down underneath everything on the other side. So that means that cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. And that is the formula to find the angle. So what I want you to do now is hit pause, make some notes, and when you're ready to move on, hit play again. Okay. Right, question 1. We've got our triangle with three sides, and we know our formula is given by cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared. all over 2BC. So now we can label our triangle to help us. So this angle is A. Now since we've been given the other two sides, it doesn't really matter the order. So the angles are the large labels, and then the sides are opposite them. So that's going to be small a, that's going to be small b, and that's going to be small c. And we plug them into our formula. So we've got 9.6 squared plus 8 squared minus 6.2 squared all over 2 times 9.6 times 8. Now I can plug all that into my calculator, and I want you to try that now. Plug into your calculator, see what you get. You can pause it if you don't want to see the answer, but you should get 0.7664. And a few other numbers which you leave in your calculator. But that's cos A. To find A on its own, you find cos, so minus 1 of 0.7664. And that will give you, so that's going to be shift cos, answer, close brackets. You get 39.96. Sorry, that's 9.97 degrees. So our answer is 39.97 degrees. So that's angle A for you. So if you, what I want you to do now is hit pause, copy this down as notes, draw the diagram obviously, and then when you're ready to move on to question number 2, hit play again. So this is our second question. If you recall, our formula, this is the way I always remember it. I remember the first formula, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A. And then I just rearrange it to find cos A. So I bring 2bc cos A over this side and the a squared over the other side. So we got 2bc cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, and then to get the cos A on its own, I just divide everything by 2bc. b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. Because in the good old days you had to remember the formula, but as it stands now, it's given to you in the exam, so no panic. Now we've got to label our triangle. We're trying to find P, so if we call this angle A here, it's correspond with P, and then it's not so important what the other angles are labeled then. Remember though, this is small a, this is small b, and this is small c. So using our formula, we write the formula, it helps us remember and consolidate. Cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. And then we can plug in our numbers. So we've got 5.4 squared plus 7.7 squared minus 7.3 squared divided by 2 times 5.4 times 7.7. Plug it into your calculator and you should get 0.42279. So we should have 0.42279. That's cos A, and in this case A corresponds with P, so I tell you what, if we make that P there, it's P we're looking for, and P is going to be equal to cos, so minus 1 of 0.42279. So on your calculator, whoops, on your calculator you do shift cos, and this should still be in your memory, so shift cos answer. So we got shift cos answer, and I got 64.99 degrees, nearly 65, but we go to 2 decimal places. Okay, good. As before, if you haven't made notes, do so now. So hit pause, make some notes, and then what I want you to do is, when you get to question 3, have a go before, without looking at it, waiting for the solutions. Okay. And now for question 3, we've got to find r this time. So we know our formula. Let's write it underneath here. Whoops. Cos of a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. Now, every question that you do, and you'll have a few of them to do at the end of this exercise, write the formula down. It really helps with familiarity, helps you to understand what you're doing. It helps you to see the pattern. So you know, you got your B and C there, and you get a B and C here. So write the formula each time. It helps you familiarize yourself with it. Okay, good. And so we haven't labeled our triangle. We're trying to find this angle R here. So if we call this A, because that's the one we're trying to find, and then the others, not so important. Remember, opposite big A, little a, got a little b here, and then got a little c there. Good. And we can write them in our formula now. So b is 100, so we've got 100 squared, plus c is 85, so 85 squared, minus a is 28.4 squared, all divided by 2 times b, which is 100, times c, which is 85. Plug it into your calculator, and you should have got 0.9658. I tell you what, make it more accurate than that. Whoops, let's go back. We should have 0.96579. Remember, that's for cos of the angle which you're looking for, in this case r. So that means that r is equal to cos to the minus 1 of 0.96579, and we can put it in your calculator. So shift cos answer equals 15 degrees, 15.03 degrees to be exact. So we got 15.03 degrees. Okay, good. So hit pause, make some notes, and it's time for you to attempt some questions. Okay, an application problem. So you got your fishing boat leaving the harbour H, so it's given us nice labels. So it leaves the harbour H, travels east for 40 miles to a buoy marked B, and then at B it turns left. So it turns left and then sails for 24 miles to a lighthouse L, then returns to the harbour. The distance is 57 miles. So sketch that journey first, and then find the bearing of the lighthouse from the harbour to the nearest degree. So hit pause, have a go. When you're ready, hit play again. So the description doesn't make it easy for us. First it travels east for 40 miles, which is nice and accurate, and then it turns left. Now that's quite vague. It doesn't give us any real indication of how many degrees that is. But if we sketch it, we would have something like this. So heads east first, and then turns left. So leftish, and goes to 24 miles to the lighthouse. And then from the lighthouse back home is 57 miles. The only indication we got where we had left was we do understand that it's going to be more than 40 miles to get back. Okay, Now you got your triangle, you got your three sides. If you didn't get the diagram, you've got it now. So what I want you to do now is to work out the second part. Find the bearing of the lighthouse from the harbour. So what's the bearing of the lighthouse from the harbour? Find A first and then find your bearing. Hit pause, have a go. And what you should have, find cos A. So A you should find as 20.4 degrees. Once you've found that, then you should be able to find the bearing of the lighthouse from the harbour. So if you draw a north line here, be able to see then that it's, if we draw a north line on here, that's the angle we're looking for. So if we, and that's, we know that's going to be 20.4, so if we take that 20.4 away from 90, it gives us that bit there, okay, and that'll be 69.6 degrees to one decimal place, and to the nearest degree, 70 degrees. Good. Some questions for you, so hit pause and attempt them. Find the angles, the missing angles. Good luck.